Welcome to the ANZ Business Leader Boardroom series. In this fifth webisode of the series, FrontRunner Consulting's Doug Mathlin, together with some of the nation's elite business writers, will discuss the best ways to grow a brokerage through recruitment. Over the next 20 minutes, we'll help you understand how to successfully recruit the right team member for your business. Recruiting may sound easy, but it's not something to be taken lightly. When recruiting for your business, you must first understand exactly what it is your business needs. Are you looking for someone to handle the influx of leads? Or perhaps you're looking for someone to take care of your administrative duties? Growing your business through recruitment takes investment, planning and strategizing. And we're going to show you how to do that today. So let's get started. Download your workbook now. You'll find the link for your workbook under this video, and then follow along with this webisode as we guide you on how to recruit for success. There will be times throughout the webisode where you'll be required to fill in your workbook. So make sure you pause the video and give yourself plenty of time to complete the tasks properly. If you do that, then at the end of this webisode, you should have all the tools you need to not only know who to recruit, but how to recruit the ideal person for the job. In addition, you'll also receive 2 CPD points, which we'll give you the code for at the end of the webisode. Throughout this, you'll hear from a lot of different people with various insights. To get the most value from this webisode, always be thinking about how the information provided can apply to your business. Before you can understand how to recruit effectively, you must first understand what type of person you are looking to recruit.
To hire an administrator, marketer, office manager, there's lots of different names for them, but someone to look after systems and processes versus hiring the salesperson, let's say. Loan writer.
You've got to get the right administrator. Absolutely. Before you start to grow your business, I think you've got to get the right administrator. Terry and I can walk away from the office for a week at a time and we know we're going to get 3 phone calls. One, the plane didn't crash in the building. But if we can go away and we don't get contacted at all, check our emails every couple of days just to keep on track of things. I'd probably have 5 administrators and no loan writers. What are we going to get out of building a team? So how much money are we going to make out of it? What's the investment? How much satisfaction are we going to get out of it? And every time you put a loan writer on, your figures drop back because you've got to spend X amount of time over here training that person. And at the end of the day, what sort of margin do you actually get out of that person? So where if we had, I'm doing the reverse, we're actually putting on people, but if we didn't, and we had 2 or 3 more PAs that covered marketing, lead generation, processing, all that sort of stuff, could we write $8 million or $9 million or $10 million consistently each, rather than 4 loan writers writing $8 million type stuff?
I think for me, it's I don't know which way to turn, whether to put a loan writer or an admin person on, and where to get that information. And I always got in the back of my mind, if you put on a loan writer, what's to stop them from just becoming a broker within their own right and saying thanks for all that, and away they go.
I can't stand the administration of the business. Like Chris, we could sit in front of people all day, every day, and have a team of people writing the work and settling the volume, and that makes us happy as people because we're helping people. And there are other people that don't enjoy that. There are other people that don't want to sit in front of people that would be better off, separating as a business and putting on loan writers to handle the volume, right? So it's just we're at a point now where I just can't do any more volume, and I have a bigger picture plan for the next 3 years where I have to divest myself. So I just sit there going, I think sometimes, as opposed to working out which one you like, work out what you enjoy.
I agree.
Right? And then employ what you don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Employ what you're not good at.
For me, I think I'd struggle to recruit loan writers if I didn't have an admin manager.
Yeah.
So I think the expectation is a broker comes to you and says, why are you doing this? Why am I joining you? What are you offering? And I think part of that service proposition, I think a lot of brokers want to have a home. I think they want to, but we put a lot of time into having fun and having it like a family and everything else. And I think there's some real keys there that when you're recruiting brokers to bring them in. But as I say, I don't know what my niche would be if that admin manager wasn't part of that service proposition to new loan writers. That's all, because I think the expectation from new loan writers is that you offer that sort of thing.
Well, we concur with that because we've set our business up to have specialists, not generalists. And, the one-man band needs to be a generalist, and that's where they lack, and pick up what you said, they're not good at some things, so they tend to avoid it. So everybody in our business is a specialist in what they do. Our offering to any rookie brokers coming in is that, yes, you'll learn, the grunt work, the processing side, because you need to understand that and you'll work in that area. You'll pencil for this guy for a period. But at the end of it, our offering is you are a broker, and we'll show you how to hunt, we'll show you how to write, but all that, file driving, all that is someone else. So that we're up front with it. So he knows. So therefore, we're recruiting someone who's a specialist loan writer, not a generalist that's going to have to do everything.
Now that you understand how different businesses will benefit from having different recruits on board, you must now take the time to identify what type of recruit you are looking for. Do you want someone to handle your administrative duties? Or perhaps you're looking for someone who can write loans? Have a think about it. Now that you've identified what type of employee you want for your business, the next thing you must do is identify how much you are prepared to invest in the new recruit. Do you have the time to teach a new-to-industry recruit the ropes, or do you need someone that can hit the ground running?
How much time or money are we going to invest in our business in terms of growth?
I think again it comes down to systems, because the better your systems are, the more time you free up. And what I mean with that is in respect of, for argument's sake, someone capturing a deal, it gets lodged, it goes through, you suddenly just find yourself, because the systems are running smoothly, you're finding yourself having that time to give them more work as well without having to employ another staff member, because the systems allow them to do so. It also gives the opportunity to replace. If you have the good systems, you're not so reliant just on the staff, because if that staff member goes and you bring in a new one, your time delay in respect of training up that new person doesn't seem to be so full on in respect of just getting them to where you need them for the system just to take over again.
It needs to be plug and play. I think if you're talking about growth and taking your business to the next level, it needs to be plug and play. So if I think about where my business is at, first step for me is more about a processor. You have that processor right, and if they can handle the back office, then you can certainly plug brokers in, and with the experience, time and some training, that broker then can become better as far as sales skills concerned. Because as brokers, we are salespeople. You have to be in reality with what we do. I think the biggest problem for a lot of brokers, they just lack that killer punch to get the deal done, to show that they are the professional and the one for the right person for the job. The time thing doesn't come without a combination of those other three. You're not going to get that time back without spending the money, without hiring the right people, and certainly without having the correct process.
You've got to keep it simple. You've got to look at your number of leads, the conversion, and the settlement it's going to give you. And if you're putting somebody else on, you've got to work out, right, if I'm doing this number of leads, I'm converting at this, and I'm settling this, how many more am I going to need for that loan writer? The other thing I think I've probably done in the last 12 months very, very differently is I've looked at my time and gone, okay, what are you spending your time doing? Could one of your staff do that better? And would it be a better value to the business? You know, people that don't use a bookkeeper that sit there doing their own mile, it's a waste of their time. They're probably not doing it as well as a bookkeeper could do, and it's costing them more money. So I think using the time that you have more intelligently is vital as well. The way I'm keeping a loan writer internal is by simply mirroring the system that we have given to us. So that loan writer, the longer they're there, each year they get a share of their trail from their average settlements. So over the 12 months, it keeps them settling decent levels of figures. Year 1, 20%, year 2, 25, all the way through, but it's on their average settlements, not on the branch, just on them. Now, you know, in 3 years' time, if they've got a recurring income of 30 or 40 grand a year, are they going to walk anywhere? Probably not, because you're actually giving something back to them, you're investing in them, but at the same token, it's off their average settlements. So you've got two things. It keeps them writing decent business, but from the recurring income, it keeps them in the business, because that's why we're still in the business. So I think there has to be a point you have to look at a pay system that, it works for Mortgage Choice, which is obviously a huge brokerage. So I simply mirrored that across.
personally think it's more your systems. You've got to have your processes bedded down in order to put someone in and actually expect them to perform to a level that you want. Obviously money plays into that as well, depending on how you're going to fund that new person, whether it's a PA or a loan writer or whatever, whichever way you're going. But in essence, I think unless you've got a process that allows that person to be effectively a McDonald's employee and, you know, do you want fries with that type of arrangement, it's very difficult to keep that person motivated and focused during a period when they're starting up. So having the resource, having the technology and the processes in place where they would simply go A, B, C, D, E, F, G and get the result every time is the key, absolute key in my opinion.
So resourcing is very tricky for one-man bands, and I agree with your point about business plans as well. You know, it's great to have goals. But most people, when you ask them, you know, what are you trying to do? What are you doing this month? What's important about, you know, this day, if you like? And it's amazing how many people just couldn't actually articulate that. I don't know, waiting for the phone to ring, market's going to pick up, all those kinds of things. Good proactive strategy. But I think that's probably something that's not foreign in this room. We do have the ability to outsource, if you like, the low-paying activities and focus on the things that we really get paid to do.
Pause this video now and think about what type of employee you need. Are you willing to pay a little bit more for experience, or do you have the time needed to invest in your new recruit? Now that you've identified the amount of investment you'll need to make in your new recruit, now is the perfect time to identify their KPIs. What responsibilities will you give your new recruit? What do you expect them to do for your business?
The roles and responsibilities for your loan writers, because some of you obviously have them, some of you are going to hire them again in the future. What are the main responsibilities?
Our loan writers, their responsibility is to see the client, sign the client up, put the deal together and hand it to processing.
Okay.
Right.
They are also KPI'd on being able to increase the business, because there's no point in them just coming there and just pulling leads. I want them to be able to grow the business. I want us to be able to grow it to the next stage, and to do that they need to start getting referrals and have their own marketing plan that I help them with, and that helps start to build the business. Okay. So it's a business in a business as far as I'm concerned, because then they're going to care for the customers as much as we do. They're going to care if there's a call for a switch or a discharge. It's going to make a difference to them.
The right admin manager can do a lot more than just process loans. That's my point.
As per your girl.
So
Absolutely. Look, you know, we've got a 10-point plan for the year, and so she's incented for how many of those 10 points we hit. So there's an incentive program there. But I have been amazed how she can influence every aspect of our business. Complaints, and I would say there's a big difference between you know, a broker chasing up a deal when they've just had a phone call from the client, remembering that they're supposed to follow that deal up on a reactive basis, and Sandra proactively chasing it up as per the service standard, you know, like when the deal should be chased up. Like the Val should be back today, so she's doing that online, and, you know, to handle volume. So, you know, our complaints, our strike rates, our retention of our business, you know, our trial, you know, retention has just increased so much. And we've got this email newsletter program, so it goes out, we just call it Right Finance, goes out once a month to all our clients, gets prepared for each of the loan writers. Our admin manager prepares that. There's not a lot of training involved in that, so that goes out. We then get a report back and go online and see who opens it, who doesn't open it, how many times they open it, what articles they click on, who bounces. She then does a report to the loan writer, says, you know, PK, 5 of your clients bounce, this is them, you need to ring these clients, because otherwise we've lost contact with those clients, you know, and it's key. And if you don't do that 5 every month, at the end of the year it's 60, you know, for each of your loan writers. So it's hard to measure that. Like, it's hard to put that in real dollar terms about how much money that's worth to us, but it's worth plenty just from that increased retention of your trial and the clients. Because if you don't have them, you've lost touch with them.
If you're a one-man band, it's very hard to give as good a service because you haven't got somebody answering the phone, or you're putting it on divert, or you can't do that. If you've got an admin person there, they answer the phone, they deal with the queries, they take some of the work off you. It gives you a better service.
Yeah.
So it makes you look better. Because you hand over, you say, okay, I'll see you when your documents it's all approved. During this process, Gavin's going to update you every 3 days. You know what's going on. If there's any queries, here is direct email. And they love it. They love that process. He flicks them a text, he sends them an email. They love it. And we get referrals from that. They come in and go, oh, he was amazing, so impressed. You know, and that, it gives you better service.
You know, both of those roles, we have admin, we have loan processing, and we have sales. So I'm sales. We have a loan processor, and all he does is work on deals. You know the things like pricing, valuation, ordering, all of that, anything related to the actual deal. And then we have admin, who basically they're the first point of contact for the business to book appointments, query what the query's about, who did the lead come from, thank that person, chase that we've actually got the correct documentation before that client's appointment, so that the time that I spend with the client is efficiently used. So the admin person just does that. They run the reports every month. They do the marketing things. Yeah, so we actually separate those 3 roles.
I think it's important to make it very clear what the admin role is and be very careful not to overload them, because I did that with my loans packager, and probably maybe 18 months ago I said, what is it that you want to do? And she said, if I could just package loans all day, every day, that'd be fantastic. So I got on Fridays a marketing girl who just does a bit of work from home as well, sending emails and stuff, but she's basically the marketer. 1 day a week I pay her, and then the packager, when I separated those 2 jobs, I doubled my volumes, and it was just such a really easy tweak, and it made a huge difference to the business, because she could focus on exactly what her job was. I could focus on the sales part. Processing's out of my office, so we have very clear-cut jobs for each of us, and it's not really muddled up or anything like that. So I think that was one thing that doubled my business. So yeah, I was happy with that.
I think the processing role has to be a separate role in a way. The processing role, they're dealing with the banks all day, being available to an assessor calling. They don't want to be sitting there folding newsletters. They need to be focusing on processing the loans and getting the business approved and that stuff.
So would the roles and responsibilities also be variable in that regard, depending on who the person is as well?
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine there's a good admin person out there that can certainly do the processing as well. And I guess from a business point of view, it would depend on how much volume you got. So I think there's many variables, but for me, it's been a great conversation, because it's really made my mind up as far as, it's a given. An admin person or PA, whatever you want to call that person, must be put on in order for you to be able to go to the next step or take your business further, I guess.
As you can see, it is important for you to identify your new employees' responsibilities so that you can measure their success and ensure they are on the right path. Pause this video now and take the time to think about your new recruit and what responsibilities you would give them. What would their weekly, monthly and yearly KPIs be? Now that you've identified your new employees' KPIs, it's important for you to create a recruitment strategy for your business. Will you employ a new person only when you need them, or will you take a proactive strategy to recruitment?
Who's recruited somebody in the last 12 months or is going to recruit someone in the next 12 months? I thought it was going to be the majority of the room. Fantastic. Can we just share some thoughts on, obviously, the proactive recruitment is when we're gearing up, we're marketing, we're expecting a inflow of leads or business, so we recruit someone in advance of that, get them trained in our systems and so on so they're ready. There's some pros and cons for that. Or reactively, there's a whole lot of stuff, we're working 23 hours a day, we can't do any more, so we go, I need someone else, go and recruit somebody.
I lost a PA that I'd had for like 3 years late last year, just went overseas for 3 months and then going to uni, etc. And I was sort of stressed about what am I going to do, and Norm just kept writing loans and I'll deal with it, deal with it later. So I spoke to a number of people about what it cost, and it cost $15,000 to go through a recruitment agency. So I got to the desperate point and 5-minute ad on Gumtree one morning, and next thing I had 10 resumes there, and the first lady was an absolute gun. Just actually the best thing that ever happened. So depends on what you want to do in your business. Do you want to do the deals and then have loan processors, which I do, or do you want to recruit brokers, which I probably don't want to do because of all the reasons? There's plenty of good loan processors out there. I mean, I come across this lady very easy, and I think I've got probably 50-60% less stress now. Like she's had, been an assessor. She's run a big mortgage company. So for me, I sort of struck gold there. But that was a 5-minute ad. So.
Well, we've gone the proactive way, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way, because recruiting the rookie that we put on last year, it was a 12-month process, so we were actually 12 months behind where we wanted to be because it took that long. And we did the usual, the Seeks, we spoke to and engaged a number of employment agencies. The universities, we advertised in the unis, and a mixed bag, hundreds of applications, but most of them were rubbish.
I think you've got to look at proactive. Okay. Realistically, you've got to be able to plan where your business is going, not just for the 12 months, but for the next 5 years. You've got to break it down into quarters, you've got to review it every quarter, and you've got to know what you're expecting. If you've had your businesses for longer than 3 or 4 years, you know when the peaks and troughs of leads are, you know what you're going to need to do to upturn that or not, so you should be able to be proactive about it. And it's going to be a lot less stressful.
Yeah.
So what are the cons of proactive?
It's where you have to be brave.
Yeah.
You have to plan.
Yep. So you recruit, you're ready to go, and that deluge of business didn't come through.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oh, what do we do?
Why would there be a deluge of business though? You should know when your business is coming, you should know the market. It's not, with business people, we've got to look at that more. You can't just, there's a deluge of business coming, there's not a deluge of business. You know when the peaks and troughs are, you know Easter's going to be quiet, you know all of those different times.
There's variables that you truly can't control.
Correct.
And that can truly affect your business, especially the bottom dollar. And from that point of view, I still think, even though that you can have the best plans, something like I look at Gladstone when we had 600 people get laid off at Rio Tinto. Regardless of how good my planning was and how good I knew when the peaks and the troughs were, that was so totally out of my control and still truly affect the business in respect of numbers.
In your planning, you've got to have your worst case scenario though.
Yeah,
So in your planning, you've got to have your worst case. If this happens, what am I going to do? Okay, who goes first? How do I exit that? Who do I bring in? Do I bring in my wife? Like, you can plan that in your planning.
No, I agree. I do honestly believe it's not so black and white, that it's that much planning that truly everyone thing. There's going to be things where it changes the whole game plan, and you need to be able to adapt and embrace.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, your health is one thing, isn't it? You don't know yourself.
So at the end of the day, it's really a combination of proactive and reactive to be successful in your own business. Would that be right?
Again, I agree with that.
You need to pick the moments where you're proactive, and certainly not by choice, but by default, you're going to have to be reactive at times.
As a broker, you can often find you fall victim to doing exactly what is required of you right now, and you can lose sight of the future. As a business owner, it is important for you to be always planning and thinking about the future. That said, sometimes being reactive, even when it doesn't fit in with the broad plan, is essential. Have a think about your business strategy. Will you employ a proactive or reactive strategy for recruitment? Perhaps you'll combine both of these methods. Now that you've identified the best employment strategy for your business, it's time to measure your success.
And the measure of success in our business isn't just how many loans they write. There's still lots of activities that they have to perform. And we measure, how many interviews they've done, how many releases they've done, how many, whatever. Look, a business of our size has all of those things in every single day of the week. Absolutely. So the broker or the loan writer that's going to be put on isn't just going to be measured on how many they write. It's, looking after other areas of the business as well that need to be attended to.
Absolutely.
Not just the new loans.
The way we treat our staff was very similar to the way we treat our clients, and it was that point of difference. I maybe didn't pay as well as a lot of other brokers would have, but we've had a lot of our staff was totally committed to the business, and we brought in a thing from South Africa which is called a 13th check. So when they take holidays, they get paid another 4 weeks bonus on top of the at that period, and it's something that became they loved it, but it was something that was never in the writing beforehand. It was merely for us a measurement of the business growth, and as the business has grown to such an extent that we could afford it, it was something we brought in as a bit of a surprise, and it was just something that they loved. So a lot of us will say, and we pay that person well.
Yes.
You hear that a lot of times, but in reality, a lot of good staff, sometimes it is not the paying well that's driving them. It is certain things, and that as a business owner, I think is one thing where we need to sharpen up, and is really truly to read your staff, to be able to sit down and to know what is it that makes your staff tick, and let them tick.
Because one of my coaching mantras is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. It's great to write all these things down and have all these ideas, but if we don't implement anything differently, absolutely nothing will change.
Pause this video now and think about how you'll measure your success and the success of your employees. You may give them certain KPIs or targets to meet, but what will you give yourself and your business? At the end of the day, recruitment is critical to the ongoing success of your business. In today's market, if you want to be successful, you have to have scale, and to have scale, you must recruit. But you can't fall victim to recruiting for recruiting's sake. You must take the time, think about your recruitment strategy, and then employ the person that is right for your business. A person you know will help you take the company to the next level. Good luck.